This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 205, our Super Star Wars Rebels finale episode of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Carablast.
I left that theater just floating on air.
So, whether I liked it or not, I was Kanan. Anytime anybody gets thrown by their toe, I'm into it.
It's so exciting, and I saw it, and I, squealed.
The squeal that was heard around fandom.
The fun of walking around a convention and just being like, "Hello, children! How are you doing today?"
If I had been Ezra, I would have messed it up for everybody.
They're really grabbing from that nostalgia factor. I mean, the image of the kite.
But I love that possibility of little Jason being one of Luke's students.
Liz immediately turned to me and was like, "It's canon, we should have another baby."
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland.
Here we go.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets lab.
It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers. Hey, are you ready to say goodbye to some old friends? But hello to some potential new adventures? Ooh. Then we want to welcome you all to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars and Disney fandom. I am Richard Wolosky, but everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife Sarah, who's going to be celebrating a birthday in just a few hours.
Yeah, it's this week, you guys, and this is our special birthday episode, and we have special T-Public specials going on, because it's my birthday week.
Yes, in 72 hours until your big birthday.
Yeah, March 10th. Nice round number. I happen to share my birthday with my Fangirls Going Rogue co-host, Teresa Delgado. How amazing is that?
What are the chances?
I know.
Did you ever check her ID on that?
I don't know, but it's super exciting, and we're cool. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, it's almost too cool, so you may need to get some proof on this. Not saying she's not telling the truth. A little proof goes a long way.
Okay. Well, it is time to give a big Wookiee hug to our family of Skywalkers. I want to thank you, everyone, for listening to the show every week. Welcome. If this is the first time you are listening to us, welcome to Skywalking Through Neverland. You are now a Skywalker. And hello to all you face huggers out there. Oh, wait, there's no face huggers this week. It's just the Skytubers.
Just the Skytubers. Hello, Eric Warren. Hello, Christopher Marino. Oh, I'm getting into my romper room bit again.
Uh-oh. Hi, Matthew. Hi, Kat. Oh, why, welcome, Marcus. It's a special day for you today, too.
Jane's having a special day, and so is Alicia and Raina, and Andrew's having a special day.
See how catchy that is?
It is.
Is it a wonder why that caught on back in the 70s?
I love it. Well, Skywalkers, you can tweet at us as well. We are at Skywalking Pod on Twitter, where we share lots of fun things. And we just love it in general when you share our joy in this adventure through fandom, both Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, DC, whatever, Harry Potter, whatever your fandom is.
The monkeys. Planet of the Apes?
Yeah.
All the above.
We have so many fandoms here. It's just nuts.
Anything simian.
In fact, all of you in chat, just why don't you chat and say what's your favorite fandom of all time?
Nice.
Okay, and I want to give a big shout out to our YouTube channel.
Woot, woot, and a big, big woot to you.
Okay, because guess what, Skywalkers? This is exciting. Right now, we have on our YouTube channel the Q&A that Dave Filoni and the Star Wars Rebels cast did right after we screened those final 2 episodes of Star Wars Rebels. And right now, that has over 12,000 views. And at this point, I think it might be 13,000. In the next 5 minutes, who knows where?
Yeah, blink and you'll see another 1,000 up there.
Yeah, so we have new subscribers. So welcome, YouTube subscribers, to our channel. We have over 1,100 subscribers to our YouTube channel.
That's over 100 since last week. That's incredible.
It is. So we want to thank you so much. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider clicking on that little subscribe button. We're going to bring you to lots of fandom events, lots of press events. We also go to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and Universal and share videos from those places. So yeah, it's super exciting. So head over to youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland to subscribe, or click that little subscribe button if you're watching us right now and like this video.
Now, we are recording this from Long Beach, California on March the 7th, 2018.
March 7th! Wait, isn't it March? No, it is March 7th.
March 7th.
Okay.
All right. I know we're a day early on this, but we want to wish Freddie Prinze Jr., Kanan Jarrus, a big, happy 42nd birthday.
Yeah.
Doom is my name. Caleb Doom is the name I was born with.
Turns 42 tomorrow, March the 8th. But you know what? We're not recording then. We're recording now.
Wow.
So, Freddie, if you're listening, big happy birthday. And sorry about Kanan.
Now, today, though, we have a birthday to celebrate. Happy birthday to Donna Murphy, who is Mother Gothel in Tangled. She turns the big 6-0 today.
Enough of the lights, Rapunzel! You are not leaving this tower! Ever!
Wow. So, gotta shout out to my Tangled peeps.
So she was really young when she did Tangled.
Yeah?
That was
2010.
Okay, that's 8 years ago, so she was 52.
Yeah?
That's okay,
young.
To me, that's young.
That's young.
All right, and a special shout out to my grandfather, who was born 118 years ago today. Sadly, he's no longer with us.
Wow.
But 118. And I recall going to see The Empire Strikes Back with him, and he would keep nudging me, saying, who's that chap right there? Who's that chap right there? He came from the day where they weren't dudes, they weren't guys, they were chaps.
So he was born in 1902?
1900.
Yes, got it.
March the 7th, 1900. If he was born 3 months earlier, he would have been born in the 1800s. That just blows my mind.
That does. Oh, on a side note here, Christopher Marino is saying that Donna Murphy was Mrs. Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. Thank you for that.
Kind of scrubbed my mind of Spider-Man 2.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah, you know what? An old friend of mine wrote the script, and yeah, he knows I wasn't very happy with that. But let's move right along to something that is happy, but yet very sad.
Okay, what do we have coming up on this week's episode?
Well, we are very happy to be covering the series finale of Star Wars Rebels.
Oh.
We're happy and very, very sad. But we're going to be talking with Sal Perales. Now, many of you know him as the Kanan Jarrus cosplayer at celebration conventions, fan events. Anywhere you see the Rebels Ghost crew, he and his family always cosplay. They always look fantastic.
Yeah, the Rogue Rebels. So yeah, big shout out to Sal Perales. We just had to have him on because since he's been with this show from the very beginning, just like all of us.
Right. And we're also going to tell you all about the special screening held at Disney Burbank Studios last Friday that include a Q&A with Dave Filoni and the Ghost Crew cast.
Now, it goes without saying, but spoilers ahead, everyone. Spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Spoilers ahead.
Major spoilers. But most of you, I'm sure, has pretty much already seen the Q&A.
Yes.
So you know what's to come.
Mm-hmm. And we want to give a big thank you to Teresa Delgado and Inside the Magic, whom is how we got into that screening. So thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without you. Now, the Rebels finale brought us many answers, and during the final end credits, the voice of Chopper was finally revealed. For 3 long years, Eliza Peralta kept the secret under wraps. This is the secret that Dave Filoni has whispered into her ear at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim and told her she could never, ever reveal the secret. And believe me, she has never, ever revealed the secret. Well, she's going to be with us a little bit later on to tell us exactly what Dave Filoni said to her, which made her the Secret Keeper.
Now we also have shout-outs, but now let's get into
Things We Want to Share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
Richard,
What's that?
guess what aired this week?
Something that I know is very close and dear to your heart.
Yeah, it was the Mary Poppins Returns trailer.
Mary Poppins, it is wonderful to see you.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
All right, now, before we start talking about this teaser trailer, tell everyone why you're so excited right now.
Okay, so we were at Disneyland.
Right.
And we happened to be walking by DCA Buena Vista Street, one of the shops, and in the window was a Mary Poppins dress that was made from the dress shop. I believe it's her universe. And it's so exciting, and I saw it and I squealed.
The squeal that was heard around fandom.
It was. And then upon perusal, they also had a hat.
Which she's wearing right now, which is why she's poppin' bounding.
Yes, and, oh my gosh, and now it's my birthday week, so I got all the things. And look at this. Look at it. It's the penguin, and then look on the back.
All right. You know what? For those people who can't see it right now, who are just listening,
I'm sorry.
tell them exactly what we're looking at.
Okay, we're looking at... Now, what? I'm trying to think of what exactly this kind of purse is called. It is a purse, and it's basically round. It's a round purse, like a Hatbox purse, and it has a penguin face on it with the little red bow tie, like her penguins in Mary Poppins.
Like Pee Wee Herman.
Yes, and on the back, it has Mary Poppins' signature right there, and it opens up, and it has... inside are Bert's stripes.
So it's
Bert's stripes from his suit.
With Bert's color scheme.
Oh my god!
His Jolly Holiday jacket color scheme.
It's amazing.
But put it away.
Oh, why?
That's a birthday present.
But I want it now.
I said you could have it during the recording of the show. Okay.
I want it
now. I know you do. Okay. Don't pull a Willy Wonka on me.
Look at the bird stripes.
You
Richard,
can't have it now.
Stripes.
Put it away.
It's amazing.
Put it away. You can't have that or the golden goose egg right now.
I want it now.
I want one. I want a golden goose.
All right, now let's talk about the big teaser trailer.
Okay.
If everyone watched that little telecast known as the Oscars, you may have known that there was a Mary Poppins trailer that, okay, I'm going to say it, that dropped. I don't understand the meaning behind it dropped. In my day, we said it was released. Okay? So we didn't drop anything. They released the Mary Poppins trailer. Mary Poppins Returns trailer.
And wow, it was beautiful. The imagery, the music, it's so magical. I mean, what did you think?
Well, they really got the tone of the original Mary Poppins, and that's not easy to do because I know they're going to want to appeal to the younger audiences by making it shinier and glitzier and more CGI, but I didn't see that in the little that we saw of the trailer, and I can tell they're really going to hone in on that tone.
The nostalgia as well. They're really grabbing from that nostalgia factor. I mean, the image of the kite, the actual kite that they had at the end of Mary Poppins.
So this is a movie you're going to be able to watch right after the original Mary Poppins.
Yes,
it's going to fit in perfectly.
It is a sequel. And the story does take place 25 years after the original film, where Jane and Michael are all grown up. So this is 1930s London.
The original film.
No. Oh, no. The original film is turn of the century London.
Gotcha.
Like before 1910s.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Of course.
And Jane, get this. Jane is a union activist.
Okay.
So she's following in her mother's sister suffragette footsteps. I thought that was fun. And Jack, who is played by Lin Manuel-Miranda and is the Bert of this film, is a lamplighter. And he apprenticed as a child to a certain chimney sweep. Isn't that cool?
It's very, very fitting. Now, when we saw the trailer, you squealed a couple of times. So, Sarah, give us your feelings on this trailer.
Well, just the wind blowing, it just makes you think of those first opening scenes of the original Mary Poppins, especially when you see all the nannies blowing away. But yeah, seeing the kite is amazing. And then, of course, the image of Mary Poppins in silhouette breaking out of the clouds down from the sky as the sun rays are kind of silhouetting her in the sky.
It was a very Superman shot.
It is, and it's just that moment. It's so magical, and that is the shot we saw at D23 Expo, and everyone just gasped. What did you feel about that shot, Richard?
Oh, I loved it. Like I was saying before when we covered this from D23, that was the shot that made me go, okay, I want to buy the ticket right now.
Yeah. But they went over and above that in this teaser trailer because they ended and we actually get to see Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins talking to herself in the mirror. Just like she sings to herself in the original.
Literally talking to herself.
I know. And I thought she looked amazing.
Because when she walks away from the mirror, her reflection is still there.
It's Mary Poppins. It's magic.
Yes, kind of creepy in a way, but it was very fitting to her magical essence. So now, what do you think of Emily Blunt taking over Julie Andrews' role as Mary Poppins?
Okay, so Julie Andrews, hard act to follow. Like, Sound of Music, I've seen Sound of Music on the stage, and I've hated it. Because Julie Andrews wasn't singing, and I just have this, I mean, she's on a pedestal for me, and nothing else measures up. Now, Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins, she has some hard shoes to fill, and I think I would be more skeptical, except for the fact that Emily Blunt was in Into the Woods, and she did an excellent job.
Yeah, she sold that.
She did, and I think what it is she's an actress first and a singer second. And so she acts and you feel everything she's saying or singing in a way that's just so emotional. And if she brings that to Mary Poppins, I'm on board.
As little as we've seen of her performance as Mary Poppins, so far what I've seen, she nails it.
Yes.
She just gets... It's like Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo. You don't have to look exactly like the previous actor, but as long as you nail the persona, the feel, the characteristics, then that's enough.
And she has that look. I mean, she does have the look. She's got the dark hair, the blue eyes.
Yeah. She's got the spirit.
The rosy cheeks and everything.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So she definitely has the spirit of Mary Poppins down to a T.
Exactly.
Julie Andrews was on Entertainment Tonight last year.
Oh, yeah?
Talking about Emily Blunt.
Okay.
And does she like her? Does she not like her? What do you think? Well, let's roll that clip and find out.
I don't think I'm involved in it, but Emily Blunt is going to be playing Mary Poppins, and I'm a great fan.
To know your thoughts, yeah?
Yeah, I am. I think she's terrific and a perfect pick.
High praise coming from the original Practically Perfect Nanny.
Big sigh of relief. Big sigh of relief.
Okay, if Julie Andrews said in her lovely accent that she approved of me, I think I would die.
Yes, you would.
I think I would just die.
Now, at that point, Julie Andrews, didn't think she was going to be involved in the production. I don't know if anything has been released since, but I don't know, and I almost don't want to know until I see the film.
Right. Yeah, me too. I would want it to be a surprise.
I'm sure she's going to play a voice of something.
Oh, yeah. I'm the
yeah.
Some of the barnyard animals.
If they do make the film without her, how upset will you be?
Well, it depends on how they use or don't use her. I think if they use her too much, it's going to take you out of it.
No, it would definitely be a cameo.
Right. So
But
I don't know if I'd necessarily be upset.
Yeah, I think she has to be involved somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow.
I think that would be fun if she's an Easter egg in there.
I kind of wish they had included Dick Van Dyke's character in the trailer, because that would have just sent everyone to the lines right now. You know, liningup.net, you need to do something for Mary Poppins Returns starting March the 8th. Had they included Dick Van Dyke.
Okay.
And he's very happy that this time he doesn't need to sit in the makeup chair for 4 hours to create the old age makeup. He comes with it. No assembly required.
That's amazing. Oh my God. And he's almost that age too.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God. Oh.
Definitely. Now, one last thing.
Yes.
How hesitant are you about seeing this? Because I know you were a little hesitant about going into Beauty and the Beast and films that meant so much to you as a kid. Now, this is like at the top.
Right.
So, would you say for this you're more excited, or there's a little part of you that's still holding back?
Okay. So I've thought about this. And Beauty and the Beast was basically taking the story that we know and love and reimagining it for live action. Whereas Mary Poppins Returns is a sequel. So it's not taking that same story and redoing it. If it was doing that, I would be like, no, I'm boycotting this thing. You can't have lightning in a bottle twice. But because it's a sequel, set 25 years later, I'm really excited, honestly. And the fact that at D23 Expo, both Rob Marshall and Emily Blunt mentioned how this movie, is such a huge undertaking, and they're just everyone on set and offset and post-production and everything is taking tremendous respect toward the original. They understand that they must live up to all these expectations. So I think that speech there at D23 really settled my mind about it. And now just seeing more of these trailers, seeing how the tone is the same, you have that same magical feel. I'm getting really excited.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll settle everything on December 25th, 2018, when the film is released.
Now, let's speak with Kanan cosplayer Sal Perales about the end of Star Wars Rebels and the special screening we attended.
I have to see this through to the end. Everything I've done and will do began with you. But it's not over. Not until we chase the Empire from Lothal and show the galaxy that for all their power, they can be defeated.
We're ready. Let's finish this!
On my command, fire!
Your little rebellion ends now.
Destroy him.
We don't want to disappoint our Emperor.
I think we're out of time.
There's too many!
Get out of there right now.
You don't deserve Lothal.
What matters is who has power.
The Force will be with you. Always.
On Friday, March 2nd, we were invited to a special screening of the Star Wars Rebels series finale at the Walt Disney Studios lot in Burbank. After the screening, we were treated to a Q&A featuring Dave Filoni, Vanessa Marshall, Tiya Sircar, Taylor Gray, and Steve Blum. We were excited to see a lot of friends there who all bond over their shared love of Star Wars. However, it also meant the end of this amazing series.
Included in the audience were several Star Wars stars and fans from every corner of fandom, from podcasting to cosplay. And when you think of Rebels cosplay, well, one family comes to mind, and that is the Perales family. Here with us now is the live-action Kanan Jarrus, Sal Perales. Hey, Sal.
Hello, everybody. I like to be thought of as the live-action Kanan Jarrus. I'm not going to lie.
We're so excited. It's live-action Kanan. He's alive, you guys.
And I'm action.
Yeah, that was meant for Disney. When they listen to the show, they'll think, wait a minute, live action? We got to do this. Get Sal on the phone.
Right?
Exactly. Can't wait.
So, you hanging in there, buddy? You hanging in there?
I'm hanging. Yeah, it's been a ride, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, there's not a fan out there who has not seen you and your family as the Ghost Crew, either at a convention or at any kind of fan event.
Or even on Rebels Recon.
Yeah, exactly, like this last episode.
Yep.
But since your family can't be with us today, tell us who plays who and how you started cosplaying as the Rebels gang.
Well, it's me and my wife, and I have 2 kids. I have a son named Axel and a daughter named Lizzie. So my wife and I do Kanan and Hera, respectively. Usually not reversed. My son does Ezra, and my daughter does Sabine. So back when we started doing the costumes, it was like based off of those Meet Ezra, Meet Kanan. I don't know if you guys remember those YouTube videos that first introduced us to these characters.
Yeah, the interstitials.
Yeah, and it was, but even before that, they just had hey, this is Ezra. He's a little, like, kind of street rat kid. He doesn't know he's a Jedi. And they just had, like, introductions about the characters instead of the, not the shorts.
Right, okay.
And that was where we saw our first, like, look at the characters. And I remember Ezra was, like, dead ringer for Axel. So we were like, oh, that's, like, perfect. Like, at the time, I still do Quinlan Voss, and my wife was doing A-list Sakura. And the kids were like, the kids were like generic Jedi, and we would do we'd come out we're also members of the fan clubs, but usually we do Saber Guild events because we do performances as well. We do lightsaber shows. So like Jedi, we're a Jedi heavy family.
Yeah, the first time I met you, you were Quinlan Voss.
Yeah, and I still do Voss like from time to time, but like a lot of events, like the bigger events, I tend to do Kanan because a lot of the kids like recognize Kanan a lot more, like, so if I'm doing a show and I'm a background character or something, I'll be Voss because I can do what I want. But if I'm going to an event and I know there's going to be a lot of kids there, if I'm doing a library or something, I'll bring Kanan because the kids really react to Kanan. Obviously a lot more than Voss, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, there's that guy that was in the background of the Phantom Menace.
Awesome. I saw one episode of Clone Wars with you. Ezra was... like, Axel had kind of scruffy hair at the time, like, looked just like him. So we were like, dude, this is perfect.
Yeah, how old was Axel at the time?
He's 11 now. So 4 years ago would be, somebody math?
7-ish?
Well,
7-ish?
Yeah, we're going back to 2014.
Yes.
So, almost 4 years. Wow.
So he was small. He was a little guy. Liz also looked very much like the Sabine character. She had short hair and, the armor, like she was into the Mandalorian thing too. As if you guys don't know the local Mandalorian mercs, the Mandalore Galar clan,
right?
Some of the nicest people in Star Wars costuming. Every troop we've ever done with Mandalorians, like they're so welcoming, they're so wonderful. And now that my kids both do Mandalorians, like it's so funny to see. My son does young Boba Fett from Clone Wars Season 2.
Oh, nice.
So if he's doing that, they'll call him over and they let him sit at the booth. And when Lizzie is Sabine, they'll be like, "Hey, Sabine, come on, we need you over here with us, with the mercs. You get back to your other family later." So when they do those big pictures or big things like that, they've always been very, very welcoming to the kids. And it's a lot of fun, and the kids love it, hanging out with the mercs.
Nice.
That's how we did it at first. It was they had those 2 characters, Sabine and Ezra. They were ready to go. And then they were like, you guys should do Kanan and Hera. We can do a whole family thing. And me and Lizzie were like, I guess. I mean, not really. And then we just decided to go for it. My wife convinced us, as wives usually do.
Yes.
That this is what we're doing.
Yes, I totally agree.
So whether I liked it or not, I was Kanan. Now, of course, here we are 4 years later. And I'm so thankful that I picked up that blade because, it's been a really, really fun experience, and I've come to really, really love the character. And, of course, we had to do the old switcheroo. When we did the first events, my daughter was Hera, and my wife was Sabine. And we saw the screening at the San Diego Comic-Con. That was the first episode we saw, but also at that San Diego, I don't know if you guys remember, they were giving away the advanced readers for A New Dawn.
Okay, ooh.
And then we read the book, and we were like, cool.
We gotta
should
switch.
Probably switch around
because the law mandates it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, whenever we go to a Rebels official event, they always bring up the Perales family at celebrations or screenings anywhere, you're always called out.
That's it. Yeah, these 4 years. Yeah, that's why we keep going to these things, because we're like, dude, it's the last season, man.
Are your kids still as into it as they were in the beginning?
Lizzie, it's kind of switched around. Lizzie wasn't into it in the beginning, and it has a lot to do with that she didn't really care for Hera, you know, or not even Hera, but because we hadn't seen any of the episodes yet, but more like the costume elements of Hera. Because when you're doing Hera, you're dealing with face paint, you're dealing with Leku, it's a lot more demanding than, you know, throwing on some cool Mandalorian armor and calling it a day, right? So she wasn't as into it back then, and then Axel was into it all the way. Axel loved Ezra, especially once the episode started airing. He would go, like, he would run around the booths to all of the costuming. He would go hang out with the 501st and be like, I'm infiltrating the Imperials. Like, we would do events, and he would go, like, you know, if the events had any, like, cookies or anything like that. I think we did one event, and they had, like, snacks. And he would bring us back a bunch of snacks, and he was like, hey, kids got to eat, right? You know, so he really, really took it to heart.
That's awesome.
So then as Lizzie got older and did Sabine, that's where she really, like, found the love of that. Like, you know, I don't know if you guys know, she does a podcast with another Sabine on the East Coast.
Oh.
And it's called Star Wars Geek Girls.
Oh, yeah.
And it's basically if you are into two 15-year-old, I think the other girl's 16, two teenage girls talking about Star Wars, this is your show. A lot of crying, a lot of shipping, a lot of, I don't know, Poe and Kylo Ren are cute.
Nice. You know, that doesn't change, even on a grown-up Star Wars Girls podcast.
So I will be worried my entire life, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're in for a long, long ride.
Yes.
With the boy, too. So that now, and then Axel kind of got a little, like, Axel felt my pain before I felt my pain with Star Wars Rebels haircuts.
Ooh.
Oh,
so that was a big thing. When the season 3 trailer came out, Axel was very upset. He was like, I quit, and why does he look like a hobo? And wasn't very, very happy about it. But as the episodes, you know, came to learn that he's still a cool guy, he just happens to have a lot less coolness on top of his head.
Agreed.
So they rolled right around, and then they cut Kanan's hair, and that's just unforgivable.
Yeah. So you're going to do that? You going to do that, Sal?
All of the other Kanans, I put up, when I build my costumes, I put up a lot of threads in the build groups, and I put up a lot of, like, pictures and images of my builds, and a lot of people come up to me and they're like, dude, I saw your Kanan pictures, and that's how I built my Kanan. Oh, I saw I saw how you did the Ezra leg armor, and that's how I did my, like, thank you for all the help. Like, so there's a whole community of Kanans out there who are like, hey, thanks, dude, I got in Rebel Legion because I followed your pictures and stuff. And I'm like, cool, that's cool. All of them messaged me when that trailer dropped. And we're like, oh, this is so awesome. Are you cutting your hair? Are you cutting your hair? We're all doing it. We're all cutting our hair. So, like, there was, like, 5 of them that were like, we're all doing it. We're all cutting our hair. And there was the rest of them that were like, finally, he's got short hair. Now I can, like, do him. Because, like, there's a whole other half of Kanans out there who are tired of wigs. You know, I'm over here like, why are they cutting his hair? He's perfect just the way he is. And they're like, oh my God, finally, he's perfect.
He only had short hair for about 3 minutes.
Right.
So, you know what? You can justify keeping your long hair.
I have to tell you something. I hate your hair.
Yes. All right, now let's talk about the big screening we all attended last Friday at the Disney Burbank Studios. So, what were your emotions like going into that screening?
It was, I mean, obviously bittersweet, but it was a little, it was happy. It was really weird for us because I knew, like I said before, like, this is the last one. Like, whether or not, you know, the next show, whether or not we're on the list for the next show, or we do, like, a lot of people ask us, like, oh, Rebels is done. What are you guys going to do now? Like, I'm not going to stop dressing as Kanan. I really like the character. Like, we still do this as a family.
Right.
There's like not quite a, like, separation, but there's a cosplay mentality that's a little bit different than the costuming work that we do. And I think that's, like, always be on the fresh and be on the newest thing. Oh, there's a new Kylo Ren, so I better do that one. Or there's a new movie coming out, so let's do Young Han Solo or something like that. We more do what we connect with.
Right.
I think if I had, like, a lot of time and money, I would do a Clone Wars Hondo.
Oh.
Because the fun of walking around a convention and just being like, hello, gentlemen, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, This time the Imperials won't catch me. Be a pirate Jedi. Like that's just fun. Like that would be the funnest thing in the world. You know what I mean? Just to walk around and scream at kids. Today, luckily for you today, I like children.
My friends, it is I, Hondo.
All right, Sarah, let me ask you, what were your emotions like going into that screening last Friday?
Oh, I was kind of sad, but at the same time, I was glad that we were getting an actual ending to this. I mean, because Clone Wars just kind of got cut off at the neck, and we never got that finale feeling. It's hard to remember my emotions going into it, and I was also excited to see all my friends because my fangirl friends were showing up as well. So it was more about seeing everyone involved with Star Wars that we've met over the years.
Yeah, that was the way I was thinking too, that I was thinking of it as more of a fan event where we get to see a lot of friends that we only get to see very few and far between. And then it was like, oh yeah, there's also a finale screening too. Because we were there like a couple of hours early.
That's true.
And so we had a great time meeting and all of our
meeting
friends.
And greeting.
Yeah. And then when we're told to take our seats, like, what for? Oh yeah. Oh, now I got to brace myself for this.
Yep.
And it was fun seeing the celebrities in the audience from all the cast, the crew.
Carrie Beck
Was there. D. Bradley Baker was floating around. Donald Faison was there.
Yes.
And I've been waiting to meet him for so long because I love Scrubs. And I've been so close to him so many times, but when I get up to him, he like disappears. I don't know how he does it, but I'll move through the crowd like, hey, Donald, where'd he go? Where's Turk? Where is he?
Oh.
Now, the finale finally became a reality when Dave Filoni took the floor and said a few words before running the final episodes. And Sal, he even gave you a shout out.
It's gonna be fine. Except not for you, Kanan. But you knew that coming here. So I appreciate the cosplay continues, which is great. If you're like Spirit Kanan now, it's good. This is it. I can't believe it. It's so exciting. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. If it's sad, I appreciate that. My crew appreciates that because it means that you're enjoying this. If you were excited or happy about the ending, it would probably be the opposite. So thank you for going, oh. I just want to thank a few people. Disney XD, thank you so much for the support and for helping us create Star Wars Rebels. It was a big moment for us at Lucasfilm to begin this series after the merger. It was the first Star Wars that we were creating under this new banner, so we all felt a great responsibility. I want to thank Kathleen Kennedy for being our leader at Lucasfilm and for supporting our animation group. And also fans, you guys, I hope you know, but just if you learn something from the show, you should say something when you mean it and believe it. And I really appreciate you guys and the support you've given me over the years. I love the cosplay, I love the involvement, the pins, everything that you guys do, small and large. It makes a big difference. All the groups that reach out to do podcast interviews, what have you, fandom really makes the experience of having a story like Star Wars bigger than it's ever been in a way that we couldn't imagine.
It's crazy to think that just putting together some costumes in our garage 4 years ago, like that started us down this path. Just like you said, like there's so many people that we see few and far between at these events. Like it's kind of the same for us. Like every time we go there, it's Filoni and it's Tracy and it's Vanessa, and it's just like a lot of these people who have been around and worked on these things. Like, I got to see Justin, hanging out, who does a lot of the work for the shows and for StarWars.com and stuff.
Justin Bolger?
Yeah. And just it's really, really cool that we get to hang out with these people and we all share this love for these things.
There must be an extra charge when Dave Filoni points you out of a crowd. And your kids. Do your kids ever go to school and say, yeah, I'm big time stuff in the Star Wars fan community? Yeah, Dave Filoni knows who I am.
Yeah, it's funny because Lizzie, like I said, Lizzie has her podcast, so she's always like, she's like the Star Wars kid at her school. She talks the Star Wars. And then there's the boy is a little bit like he's a little bit younger, but I think since like The Last Jedi came out, like I guess Star Wars is now Star Wars is in at the school.
Okay.
And then I'm like, so do they know like what you do? And he's like, well, like they know that I costume as Ezra, but they all like me because they saw that kids playing Star Wars video on YouTube, which is a friend of mine did a little YouTube video and Axel was in it. And it's basically a bunch of like little kids playing Star Wars and Axel like a bounty hunter in it. And it's like one of those things that is like, oh, there's like 17 million views on this one little random video of kids messing around with lightsabers.
Wow.
So Axel gets called out a lot more on that because what do kids do all the time? Nothing but watch YouTube.
Yeah.
That never ceases to amaze me.
I know.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, well, let's get into these episodes a little bit. Now, the last episodes that were shown at that screening were A Fool's Hope and the hour-long family reunion and farewell. So I'm going to do a little recap for everyone. So here we go. Mm-hmm. Ezra continues his quest to free Lothal from the Empire, only to be outsmarted by Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now, the only way to stop the Empire's attack is his immediate surrender. While in custody, Ezra is brought before the Emperor, where he is offered his greatest desire to be reunited with his family. Then, in the end, he knows what he has to do. As he learned from Kanan, he has one last lesson, and with help from some old space whale friends, Ezra disappears into hyperspace, leaving his ghost crew family and us fans wondering, #where is Ezra?
Nice. Now, let's begin with some overall thoughts, and then we can go into our favorite moments. So, Sal, what were your overall thoughts about this big finale?
I loved it. Like, there was such a feeling of, like you guys know Star Wars Rebels is very important to my family. There was such a feeling of family in the story. Like, a lot of the people along that journey were there to help. Like, the guy who's buying guns from them in the first couple episodes is now fighting alongside them. Hondo's there. Sabine's old bounty hunting friend who left her for dead is now fighting alongside them with the rebellion crest on her shoulder. Like, the clones came back. It was really, really, really cool. Mart was there. Like, and the Purgle.
Love those space whales.
And Melch.
Melch.
And Melch. Can't forget Melch. Greatest distraction ever.
I'm just so glad they brought back an Ugnaught.
Uh-huh.
If somebody, I'll say this right now, if anybody ever does a Melch, that's the day I'm going to immediately start a Rebels Hondo.
You know what? I have a 1980s Don Post Ugnaught mask. So,
Wow.
Okay.
My garage and your garage will talk.
Nice.
All right, so Sarah, what were your overall thoughts on this finale?
Okay, well, let's do your overall thoughts first.
Like Sal, I almost called you Kanan. Like Sal just said,
I'm okay with that.
I love the whole family theme of it, where the rebellion was almost put on a back burner to help out Ezra. Because from the very first episode, all he's ever wanted to do was free Lothal from the Empire. And now Hera calls together this cell and say, hey guys, let's put the rebellion on the back burner. We've really, really got to focus on Ezra because we're so close here. We got to make sure his quest comes to fruition. And I love that whole family aspect of that. And I did not expect that going in. Now, I think these episodes should have been really one giant movie. The way the Spark of Rebellion started this whole Rebel series as one giant movie. I think this should have been one giant telefilm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was so impactful. We were so close. Ezra was right there. He was going to free Lothal until he's outsmarted by Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Who's going to outthink Thrawn except for the Emperor? So it's like, well, this whole 3-year journey has been for nothing. Because how will you ever get out of this? So it was very emotional. I didn't know what way it was going to go. There was no way of knowing. And in my mind, I had a little bit of a death toll going. And I know Dave Filoni said, no, just enjoy it. It's not about the deaths. It's about the journey.
Right.
But how can you not think about, okay, who's going to not make it out of this scene?
Right.
I was completely satisfied with this ending.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, Colonel Yularen, is that the governor?
That's the ISB agent in episode 4 who also shows up a couple times earlier in the series.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's...
we see him in Clone Wars. He's the one with the white tunic. White Imperial tunic.
In Clone Wars, he's a captain, I think.
Okay, who's the former governor who...
Ryder.
The traitor.
Ryder.
What's his name? Ryder?
Yeah,
okay.
played by Clancy Brown.
Yes. Yeah, so when Ryder, deceived the rebels... Who was on the fence about that? Like, who was thinking that maybe he was turning them in or maybe not?
I really thought, like, the first time it happens, I was like, okay, this is a trick. But they did such a good job of playing it that it kept me going back and forth till the end. Like, there's a lot of times, I don't want to call this a cartoon, but a lot of times in a cartoon, things like this are handled in a very transparent way for us, like adults.
Right.
But this one, they did a really, really good job of, like, selling it the whole way through. Like, I was like, no, this has got to be a trick. Like, he's a good guy. Like, he's literally been leading this rebel cell, so how is he going to turn around now? And then, he kind of runs and hides during the fight. He's not shooting anybody. So you're like, oh, well, maybe he's keeping up the ruse. And then he doesn't shoot Rook. And then you're like, whoa. Yeah. And then at the end, he steps out, and everybody looks at him like it was their looks that sold it. Like, Ezra and Sabine turned to him like, oh, you betrayed us? But they're just really good actors. Because a second later, he's like, you want to tell her or should I?
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to just do the same thing they did in The Last Jedi with DJ and have him double-cross them. I knew it was going to be some deception. But when he didn't shoot Rook, I was confused. And even right now, I don't know why he didn't shoot Rook.
Well, I think maybe if some people was watching him, they would know what side he was on, but
then they should have shown that.
Yeah. But really, it would have been helpful if he had shot Rook, considering how much trouble Rook got everyone in.
Right. I mean, I feel like Rook died like 3 times in those episodes.
No kidding.
He got thrown off 2 cliffs. He got hit by the wolves. He fell down the shaft. Like 4 times I saw him die, and every time he came back. So I feel like if Ryder had shot him, wouldn't change the story at all.
Yeah, but every time some go over at the edge, it's like, okay, we didn't see his body land, so we know he's still alive, and he's not Han Solo, so we know he's gonna come back.
Speaking of that, let's move on to standout moments, and I have one right away, and that's when I think it's Rook who's chasing Chopper, or not Rook. Is it Rook who's chasing Chopper?
Stormtrooper.
In that scene, it was a Stormtrooper, and then Chopper falls down and goes, ah, you hear him like yell, or you hear Dave Filoni yell.
What?
And then the Stormtrooper is like looking down and Chopper grabs him and shoves him down. Like, that is awesome.
Anytime anybody gets thrown by their toe, I'm into it.
Yeah, that's such a Rogue One moment with Jyn Erso throwing that Stormtrooper over by his foot.
Yeah.
On Edu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Sal, what are your favorite moments and standout scenes from this arc?
Oh, I feel like there's a lot of them, but I mean, just from that first episode in general, like the wolves attacking.
Oh, yeah.
Was so well done. It was so it was it was kind of expected because once you see Ezra with the wolves, you're like, what else could it be? But the way that it was done, like they sold it, man. Like, that looked like a bunch of wolves killing a bunch of stormtroopers.
Yeah, I was almost reminded of Twilight when the wolves get... You know what? I don't know what you're talking about, Sal. Why did you bring up Twilight for? All right, let's move on.
Well, that was interesting because I was wondering how kids would take that scene. And we watched this with Eliza Peralta, who's 9, and she was loving it.
Yeah.
She was going, go.
Even,
wolves.
Yeah, we were talking right after the screening on Friday, and that was one of the topics that came up. How will kids view that scene? And Eliza was there like, yeah, get him. And you know what? You didn't see the wolf bite into a trooper and snap him in half.
No.
Nothing grisly like that, or shake him like a rag doll. So I think it was tame enough that the kids could get into it, because going by today's standards of animated shows, that was very tame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the other thing that really stands out was the scene where they're when Thrawn gets there and Ezra figures out what he has to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the most perfect music that I can even think of right now. Like, the music in that scene is so well done, and all it is a visual moments between him and Sabine and Chopper. Like the adults are trying to figure out a way. Like they're not ready to like Hera. It's like, no, we got to figure something else out. But Ezra already knows what he has to do. Right. And there's just a look between him and Sabine, and like, there's so much encapsulated in that moment. Like these kids that grew up together, that's the only way that they can find. And it's like Chopper is like the one that helps them too. Like Chopper opens the little thing, you know, and then there's like performance there too. And Ezra's like, you know, one last time. Like there's such, like, everything comes together. That was heartbreaking. And that was, when they did that, I was like, this is the last time they're going to see each other. Like, that's where this is going.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
It was so well done. And I love that she keeps looking back to try to see him. And by the time she looks back, like, he's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know? Funnily enough, that was my favorite moment, because when we were watching it in the theater, the sound kind of dipped down at that point, because you're supposed to focus on Sabine and Ezra. But in the theater, I was distracted. I thought something was wrong with the soundtrack. So I did not get that moment.
Yeah.
But when I watched it on screen last night at home, it hit me.
That was just marvelous sound design there. Because they really wanted you to focus on the background.
Yeah, and I mean, that really hit me the second time I saw it, and I started crying right there. Because, well, having seen it the second time, you know where it was going.
Right.
So, wow.
Yeah, now, for me, whenever you tie in the films to the show, I just get goosebumps. Like, in A World Between Worlds, when we hear quotes from the films, especially Princess Leia.
Truly wonderful, the mind of a child.
What is this place? A conduit through which the entire force...
Luminous beams so weak, not this fruit factor. Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
What you need, you already have. Unfortunately, you seem to be letting it all go.
The Force is what gives the Jedi its power. It's an energy created by all living things. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together.
Those voices.
Time to fight is now.
Where are they coming from?
This is our most desperate hour.
We had to stop it and just reflect for about 2 hours. And to hear the Emperor, Ian McDiarmid, as the Emperor, say Ezra Bridger.
Ezra Bridger, mine at last.
For me, that really connected Rebels to the films. And
his entire performance was just so well done.
Yeah.
Not that you'd expect anything less from Ian McDiarmid.
Right.
But it was really good.
Ian Abercrombie is fantastic as the Emperor. Tim Curry will not talk about. But when you go with Ian McDiarmid, it's just fantastic, and you can hear the Emperor from Return of the Jedi come out in his mannerisms and his characteristics, the way he pronounces things, the way he rolls his certain words, and he got that guttural frog type of voice that Ian McDiarmid used for Return of the Jedi. And knowing that Ezra was on the forefront of the Emperor's mind right before Luke Skywalker excites me to no end, because now you can watch Return of the Jedi or even The Empire Strikes Back and go, you know what? Only a couple of years beforehand, you weren't concerned with a Skywalker kid. You were concerned with that Bridger kid. So that really tightens things up, and it puts it into a timeline where everything is more connected than it ever was.
Right.
Yeah.
And now another standout moment for me, and I got the chills when I saw this in the screening, was when Palpatine would flicker back and forth from Palpatine to the Emperor, to the Palpatine to the Emperor.
Yeah.
I went crazy over that because I've never seen that before.
Now, why do you think he was doing that? Was he just so angry that he was losing his Force ability?
Oh, I'm sure.
I think it's technology, because in a lot of the books that we've read that have been released since the canon, they talk about how his public persona is a very his public representation he doesn't look like he looks.
Mm.
Every time you read a book where somebody's like, oh, the Emperor's actually there, they're like, whoa, that's what he looks like? On TV, he looks so much better.
Yeah.
So you get the idea that that's what he does. His public persona is a very polished, camera trickery.
Oh.
So I think if you want to think about it logically, it doesn't make any sense. Because it would be like a hologram that, the filter is turning on and off. It's a Snapchat filter that's turning on and off, basically.
Yeah.
But for a story representation, it's just so awesome.
Yeah. And for the kids, too, to make that connection.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, because
right.
before that, even I was confused. I must be a kid. Because I was like, I mean, I know that was Ian McDermott's voice, and I figured it was the Emperor, but I was just confused why he looked so young.
Right.
Yeah.
And Dave Filoni goes into that very powerful scene in the Q&A, too.
Well, Ezra's seen him as evil. And so evil has to be deceptive too. This is the way it goes. And to challenge Ezra, he appears as this pleasant person. I mean, you can figure out technically how he does that with old holograms, whatever. That's not important. What's important is that this is the way evil deceives you. Oh, look, he's not so bad. He's this kindly old grandfatherly guy, and that makes you want to trust him a little more. And the whole trick there is that the Emperor hears what Ezra desires most in the world between worlds when he says, sometimes I wish my life was different. Sometimes I wish I could just be with my mom and dad. Because when you're pressed into difficult choices, your gut reaction, and it's not wrong, is just to say, gosh, I wish this was easy. In my childhood, Frodo, I wish this need not happen in my time. That's just the burden of being the hero. And you have to be careful that when that wish is given or granted to you, let me relieve this burden of you, let me give you what you want. And I think Taylor really sews it together by giving a compelling performance as Ezra to really make you want him to almost want to go do that.
Even I, in the audience, I was deceived by it. It's like, Ezra, go. Look how peaceful and generous this old man is. You can't say no to that. Just, come on, do it.
Like, open the door.
Yeah, press the button. Come on.
Yeah.
Speaking of that scene right there where Palpatine / the Emperor / Sidious, well, he was offering Ezra his goal, his dream of being reunited with his family. And what do you think was on the other side of that hologram in the Jedi Temple? Because we saw Ezra's mom and dad, they're all calling for Ezra, come in for dinner. And and Ezra's hand was on the button. If Ezra had pushed that button to go into the other side, what do you think would have happened? Sal?
Well, I don't think his family was on the other side, that's for sure. And I don't because I've kind of thought about that a while too, because it doesn't look like the same gate as the one that, in the couple episodes previous, him and Ahsoka were, bumming around in.
In the world between worlds.
Right. So, but I think it's something akin to that. And this is like this greater, like these Jedi secrets that are built on these places of power or built with power. Because my first thing was like, they go up there and he's like, oh, I had the whole temple move brick by brick.
Mm.
And then logically in my head, I'm like, well, that doesn't matter because the Force is in does the Force move locations? Like, is the Force in the bricks or?
Right.
But I guess it doesn't matter. What matters, is that, I try not to get too hung up on the sciences of things, but every now and then I do ask questions in my head. So I still don't know what it was for, but I think it's these secrets of the Jedi that he can't unlock because using the light side of the Force is such, it's literally impossible for him to do. He can't
Sidious?
come at things. Yeah, for Sidious. So all of these secrets, whatever was behind that gate, whatever Jedi power or whatever gate to another place or secrets, he can't access it himself. Because my thing was like, how can Sabine and Malcolm McDowell figure out these secrets that the Emperor's working on, got his teams on 24/7 and can't open the door?
Right.
And that kind of went back to Malachor. I was like, why can't him and Vader just roll down there and blow up Malachor? And I guess maybe they could have, but I don't know exactly. Because he's like, oh, you've I think Maul, or no, the Inquisitors, I think. No, Vader says it to Ezra. How did you unlock this secret? And then Ezra's like, you're smart, you figure it out. You know, so you get the idea that they're searching these places and trying to unlock this hidden knowledge and power to further their own power. So whatever was behind that gate, I don't even know if Palpatine knows what it was.
Yeah, well, one thing for sure is whatever Palpatine says it is, just go in the totally opposite direction.
Right. Well, I think, I mean, Palpatine had latched onto Ezra in terms of, like, using his light side power. So I think had Ezra pressed that button, you know, the Emperor would have found his way into this world between worlds and started changing the timeline.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Because that's what he wanted all along, was to get in there. And as we know, as Dave said, there's infinite possibilities. It's like in the DC universe where you have like the multiple multiverse.
Yeah.
You have the different Earth 1, Earth 2,
Earth 19,
Earth
Earth 35.
Yeah, I think he would have been able to go in there and manipulate all these different timelines.
Yeah, I think you're right, because they had all these portals that went to infinite possibilities.
So it just would have been bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you that if I had been Ezra, I would have messed it up for everybody.
Oh.
I just couldn't refuse that kindly old grandfather.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd have helped him across the street into the temple, too. Into the portal.
I would have messed it up for the whole galaxy.
Yes. All right. Do you have one more moment, Richard? Or a couple more?
I love cinematic illusions, and the one that really got to me was the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, when the Purrgil, the space whale, attached itself onto the Star Destroyer. That was so like 20,000 leagues. And you see that iconic image of the squid attaching itself onto the submarine.
Spoiler for me, I didn't know that happened in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh, sorry.
Well, now I know. That's okay.
Yeah, for me, that's one of my favorite all-time Star Wars moments, images.
Oh, wow.
Was that. And I think they do such a great job calling back to cinematic icons.
Right.
And that was great, knowing that we get to see these space whales that Ezra had met in season 2.
Okay.
And honestly, I'd forgotten about them. But
yeah, me too.
You shouldn't have, because they're too big of a character, no pun intended, but too big of a character to just leave there. So we all should have known they would come back at some point. And when they came back, it's like, wait a minute, something's coming out of hyperspace? Is it the rebellion all coming together?
Right?
Like in the end of season 3? This is going to be fantastic. Is that a whale? What is this? And just seeing nature, just like in Return of the Jedi, nature conquering the tyrannical, mechanical empire.
Nature finds a way.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I like it. Like that was really, really well done also, but I really love that it gave us a different kind of like space battle that we've never seen before. You know what I mean? Like normally we're waiting for, wait for the fleet so the X-Wings can come and shoot the TIE fighters. And like, that's what you're waiting for. But this time it was something like we have never seen that. I guess the closest thing is like in Clone Wars, they fly through a hyperspace cluster or something with those knee brays, and you get this really beautiful visual.
Right.
But it's not a fight. They're just like, well, watch out, don't hit them. You know, flying those Y-wings through that shortcut or whatever it was.
Oh, right.
And then this time, they actually were taking down Star Destroyers, and it's such a fresh take on a battle. You know what I mean? Like, that was such a wonderful new way to show that nature versus technology.
Right.
And then the second payoff of that is, I see your defeat with many arms surrounding you in a cold embrace.
Yes. That's what the Bendu says to Thrawn.
Yep. What do you see? I see your defeat, like many arms surrounding you in a cold embrace.
Wow.
That was double awesome. Like, and even Ezra in that moment, like he's taking out the people, he gets shot. You know, and Thrawn has because as soon as Thrawn's dealing with something he doesn't know, he turns to Ezra and he says, whatever happens next happens to the both of us. Like expecting this kid to not really understand the gravity of the situation. The kid's like, no. Yeah, that's the idea.
I get it. I understand.
Now, you know what? You just said something that I was very confused with in the film, and that's Ezra was shot. Now, it wasn't like it
In the
deflected off of
shoulder.
his armor, but I looked again last night, and it didn't just hit his armor; it hit like the
His shoulder.
seam between his back and his armor.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why that was added in there, because if you're shot in the torso, you're not going to come back from that.
It looked like a shoulder shot. I think he'd still be okay.
Well, it was,
and I don't think that shirt is armor either. But that was like, that was, he got shot.
Yeah, so that was one of the moments like, you know what? I'm going to overlook that moment.
Yeah.
Let's move forward. Let's move forward.
Can we?
Right. I was more concerned that Melch came back from a shot to his heart with wearing overalls.
Yeah, I thought he was a goner too.
Yeah, that one was like more of a torso shot. Like Ezra kind of got it in the shoulder. I thought he might make it okay.
Right, but then when McGregor got shot, it's like, okay, that's right in the chest. How could that not fry your heart?
Yeah, and he's wearing a tank top.
Yeah.
As a man who wears tank tops, I know they're not bulletproof.
Like any good clone knows, gotta wear a tank top into battle.
Mm-hmm. Only the best.
Right. Now, how surprised were you at the very end during the coda when we saw Ahsoka?
That was good. That was really, really good. And I love, like, the coda was it was such a perfect way to wrap the things up. Like, there's two schools of thought I can kind of think of it, because I can see how some people are like, well, this just opens up a whole new chapter. Okay, then for you, cut off the ended at that Endor-like celebration. You know, that's the end of your Star Wars Rebels. But for this, it opens up so many possibilities, and it wraps up the stories in such really, really good ways. Like, you get to hear what happened to Zeb, and you hear that Hera and Rex were on Endor. Like, so you get everybody's story. And then Sabine sort of became this guardian of Lothal until, hey, it's time to go back. You know, we got to go back and find Ezra. So now you get the possibility of them exploring the unknown regions or wild space or whatever, you know, which is, to me, is so intriguing.
I think that was the icing on a very satisfactory ending.
Yeah.
And I was almost worried because some of these episodes had been hit or miss leading up to this.
Okay.
But during that ending, I was completely satisfied knowing that they had jumped forward to the end of the Battle of Endor, and we see Ahsoka. I left that theater just floating on air.
Oh, I know that surprise ending with Ahsoka showing up. I mean, everyone loves Ahsoka. She just brings so many people together, and you know, that excited me no end. When's that series happening?
Yeah, right.
The search for Ezra?
Yes.
You know what? They set up something they cannot ignore. This has got to be the next animated series or even a Disney streaming series, because there's so many infinite stories on this that it would be a shame just to leave it to a comic series.
Right. I was going to say, what if they go to books or comic books?
No, there's too many great moments that I want to experience on the big or little screen.
Mandalorians always look good in a comic book, so I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's the same for Ahsoka. It would be, of course, it would be wonderful. Like, the preferred way to see any Star Wars is on the screen, right?
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
Like, that's what people love. But I also love that the strengths the other mediums have, like getting into, like, novels are really, really good for character building, because you can get into the characters' heads in a way that you just can't in a movie or or anything else. And comics really give you these, like, this visual imagery in a static way. Like I said, Maul and Mandalorians look awesome in comic books.
Right.
Yeah, even in A New Dawn, we got into the heads of Hera and Kanan in a way that we really couldn't in this series.
Right.
Now, when we saw Ahsoka up on the big screen at the screening, I've never heard an audience cheer as loud as they did. People were on their feet when they saw her. She had the hood on, she had a longer lekku, and we just knew what was about to happen. They're going to go look for Ezra. Wow.
Well, it's interesting that even Dave Filoni mentioned that it was kind of flabbergasting when we first see Ahsoka walk down those stairs.
Yeah, in the Ghost.
In the Ghost, and the reaction, the audience reaction, like, even I can't explain how much like she means to me. It's just, you know, but she does.
Judging by all your Ahsoka toys around here, I get a pretty good idea.
I know, but so I can't explain it, but I know that she's just a character that so many of us love.
Yeah, and I would have put money down on the fact that they were going to leave her story open-ended and that we wouldn't have seen her. Maybe they would have given a little bit of a reference as to Ahsoka is still out there, but showing her, it's like, oh, Dave, you really get us. As much as you like to hide everything, you really came through on this moment right here.
Yeah.
Now, Sal, do you have any predictions about who was not going to make it out of this finale?
I thought Ezra was going to die because the example that Kanan set for him, like, and he was so resolute in his path. Like, once he learned those lessons, I was like, well, it would be tough, you know, but I mean, the way that he goes about things, like, he literally thinks he's going to die in these episodes. But I mean, just going off of the episodes before where he's like, that's the lesson. You have to let go and you have to be willing to sacrifice like a Jedi would.
Right.
So like, that's what he learned and he was willing to do it and he did do it. He just didn't die. So like, I'm satisfied and I didn't want him to die or anything, you know, like I love the character and I love how far the character's grown. But that was like number one. And of course, I think we've all been worried about Callus since he started playing Double Agent. So he's been on the death list since like mid-season 3. He keeps walking away and apparently looking good doing it from what I hear.
Oh, yeah. Hot Callus.
Yeah. I was a little bit worried for Zeb.
Yeah.
Because I thought that there was going to be some sort of dynamic between, and there was a dynamic between him and Callus, but they both lived. So it didn't go the way. You know, I thought it was going to be either, you know, Callus jumps in front of him and takes a shot, or Zeb's trying to help Callus, or, you know what I mean? Because they have such a, like, really cool connection.
Yeah.
Their stories revolve around each other so tightly. Like, it's through Zeb that Callus finds his redemption, and it's because of Callus that Zeb sort of, like, lost his honor and then is able to find it later, like, when he sort of reconnects with his people.
Right.
You know, and like through Zeb's forgiveness, you know, like that they're sort of able to come to terms with both of their situations.
Agreed.
Hera, we all knew was going to make it. Sabine, I figured she would go back to Mandalore.
Right, yeah.
So when she didn't, I'm not like conflicted, but I was like, that's very interesting. But I realized that everything she did at the beginning of the season, like she set up Mandalore to be fine without her. Like it's happening. All the clans have united. They're all fighting off the Imperial. She's brought down the leaders of the Saxon clan, and everybody's behind Clan Ren or Clan Kryze. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Everybody's back behind her now. So like she set everything in motion for Mandalore to have its own revolution.
Wow.
So I think like that was really, really smart to do because that leaves her free of that thread, I guess, in a way. Even though her family's there and everything, she set them up. So at the end, when she's trying to, figure out what Ezra wanted her to do and standing and protecting Lothal and studying all this ancient art, like, I think that's a really cool way to have her explore.
So, Sarah, how about you? Which character did you think was not going to make it?
I mean, I definitely thought Ezra, just simply because he is a Jedi. But while watching these final 2 episodes, I was really worried for Zeb. Yeah. There were several moments where he almost died, especially when they're down in when he and Rook are down in that area.
The reactor shaft?
Yeah, the reactor shaft, when that's coming back online, and it's like, oh no, what's going to happen to Zeb? I was like all bracing myself right there. But luckily, it wasn't Zeb.
Well, I knew that Price was going to be a goner.
Okay.
After these last couple of episodes.
Where she's just not
living up to Thrawn's expectations that she was going to be a goner. And when they offered her the chance of joining their rebellion, the way Callus had, I thought that, okay, I love her character. And I thought I was hoping she was going to go, but nope. She's an Imperial, and she's going to die as an Imperial.
Yep.
Now, did you think that Thrawn was dead at the very end when he got sucked into hyperspace with Ezra and he was surrounded by all the tentacles of the Purgle?
I kind of did, but then I figured, like, he's kind of right. Like, whatever happens to him happens to Ezra, but Ezra has a connection with the Purgles that the Thrawn doesn't.
Right.
So, like, in a way, I thought maybe the Purgles would protect Ezra in a way that they wouldn't protect Thrawn.
Right.
Like, they're literally strangling him to death, but apparently he's not dead.
Right.
But it was interesting. That was in my head, what was going to happen to them. I thought there's still a chance that Ezra could be all right.
I agree with you. I thought Thrawn was a goner, even though I was sad. I was actually more sad about that than, like, Greg. I think, was it Gregor?
Gregor, yeah.
Yeah, Gregor.
Gregor.
I was sad about Thrawn. I was like, no, not Thrawn. but so when Dave Filoni on Rebels Recon said otherwise, I was surprised.
I'll say this much. They're not dead. Both of them survive it. Both Ezra and Thrawn, I would say, survive it.
I was very happy just because there's so much potential with Thrawn.
Yeah.
He can't go out like this.
Right. Agreed.
In a big bear hug.
Yeah. The other thing that I also thought at the time was Thrawn is from the unknown regions. So I thought that was another extra wild card. Like, what if they go and they just run into his people? Like, who knows? You know what I mean? Like, because that's where Thrawn is from. So I thought that was a very, like, he also had sort of an unknowable advantage.
Right. Right. You know what? Let's now talk about one last aspect of the ending, and that was the Kanan kid, who we'll call Axel. I mean, I'm sorry.
Axel? No, it's Jason.
I know. But honestly, Sal, when I saw him up there, I thought, come on, you've got to call him Axel. You've got to call him Axel. How much of an honor would that have been to have named Hera and Kanan's son after your own son?
I don't even know how to answer that question if that had happened. My mind would have still been blown today, 4 days later.
I bet.
So when we saw little Jason, Jason Syndulla, Jason Jarrus.
Is that
Jason Syndulla?
Jason Syndulla. Okay.
Oh, that's right. What did you think?
It was so unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, like, because we were all like, we literally were like, oh, I've seen Forces of Destiny. She's all the way in Endor. So we knew she was going to make it.
Right.
So then it's like, oh, and then she went with Rex and they fought in Endor, but there was a new person. And then you see the kid and you're like, holy, you know, like, whoa.
Well, the fact that she was pregnant during these last couple episodes, which...
Like during the Battle of Scarif, probably.
Yeah.
Liz immediately turned to me and was like, it's canon. We should have another baby. And I was like, well, I mean, we should stop while we're ahead. And then I think as we were running back up to the lobby, I don't know if you guys know Geek Girl Diva.
Yes.
She turned to Liz and she was like, "We have a baby!" Like, I don't know if you guys know, she's a very big Hera Kanan shipper or Canera. Whatever.
Do you think they named him Jason after Jason Solo?
They spell it like Jason Solo.
Excellent.
So that's, you know, interesting to say the least. I mean, I guess we'll just see what happens with this character.
I think if anything, it's just a nod to the Legends. I don't think the character's actually going to follow that path.
Yeah, I think it's more of a nod. But I like the implications. And then every now and then I like to try to make my daughter cry every now and then. So I'll just walk up to her and I'll be like, hey, like, what if he trained to become a Jedi? And then he was at Luke's school.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Oh.
That's mean, Sal. That's
mean.
It
is. It's true. She's Mandalorian. She can handle it.
And she's 16, which means she's definitely going to cry. Come on.
She just gives me the look and then she says, why are you like this?
Oh, okay. High five to Lizzie.
But I love that possibility of little Jason being one of Luke's students.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe he's the one that gets away from Ben.
Yeah.
Ben Solo.
Right.
Wow.
Well, and then the other implication they give is like, he was born to fly. He's a pilot like his mom.
Oh.
You know, so maybe he's going to be a pilot. Like, you know, like there's so many paths he could kind of go down. He can go down, in a way, if you think about it, he can go down a Jason or Jaina path.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to think about it like that.
Definitely.
Wow.
That's exciting.
You know what?
So it's interesting.
I don't know where we can go from there. That is just a perfect ending to this ending. So, Sal, thank you very, very much for joining us on this Rebels series finale recap. Tell us, where can we find you on social media? If anyone has any Kanan questions or questions about Rebels or just want to say hi.
I believe they call me Kanan and Verified Voss. But I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Sal I Make Music. The whole family, we all post stuff at theroguerebels.com. And you can hear me every week on Now This Is Podcasting at makingstarwars.net. And that's pretty much the rundown.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sal, for joining us. And
thanks for having me.
We really enjoyed this.
And the only outro I can think of is, may the Purgle be with you.
Always.
Nice. Perfect.
Thank you, guys. The force is so strong with you. I hope you enjoy this. I know you'll let me know. Thank you.
Now, one last thing. I am very happy, proud, and honored to have the distinction of asking the very last question at the very last Rebels panel as the show was still on the air. Here is my question, but to hear Dave Filoni's answer, you have to go to the end of our Star Wars Rebels Season 4 series finale Q&A with Dave Filoni and cast video.
Now, as a teaser, it had to do with Hoojibs.
And we have time for one more question right here.
Hi there. I want to be the next one to thank you for years and years of the greatest entertainment, theatrically or on the small screen. It meant so much to a lot of people in here. It brought so many people together. I know a lot of people in here just because of Star Wars Rebels. So I gotta thank you so much for that. But the question I have is, are there any Easter eggs that we've missed over the last couple of years? Maybe a Hoojib? Another Hoojib? So if you watch the video, you may notice that there was a lot of quizzical looks on the cast's face. And then Teresa Delgado had mentioned that she had texted Vanessa Marshall a picture of a Hoojib. Because between Vanessa Taylor Gray and Tiya Sircar, they had no idea what I was talking about. And you can see it in the video, like, what is he saying? And then Teresa texted Vanessa, and Vanessa showed Tia what a Hoojib was.
So that's what they're doing.
Yeah. So if you think they're just on their phones for any random reason, not random. No, they're getting filled in.
Yep.
All right. Now, let's speak with Eliza and Ric Peralta about the Rebels panel they attended at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, where Dave Filoni bestowed upon Eliza the secret of Chopper's voice. Hey, Eliza!
Now, before we begin, we just want to wish you a happy birthday, since this is your birthday eve, and we have a special song for you.
This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Now that that's done, let's go back in time to Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. Oh, those 3 years ago.
Wow.
Now, Eliza, I've always wondered, and I've never asked you, how did you and your mom and dad end up on that main stage during the Rebels panel?
When we were in line, I had my Rebels dress on, and they saw it and they thought it was really cool, and so they brought us up to the stage.
Wow.
Is that all it takes?
Yeah, Mark grabbed us right out of line.
Mark Daniel?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, wow. Props to your mom, Eliza. Did she make that dress for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and there were only about 10 people up there with you?
Yeah, I think that's all there was 10 seats.
All right, then when the Q&A was turned over to you guys up on there on stage, you had asked Dave Filoni a question, Eliza. So what exactly did you ask him?
Who's the voice of Chopper?
Who's the voice of Chopper? Okay.
Right.
Now, was that a question that you came up with, or did someone ask you to ask him that?
Me and Mommy kind of thought of it.
Okay.
So it's a little powwow between you two. All right. Well, you know what? It was a very good question.
Right.
Because it gave you the name Secret Keeper. But now tell us what Dave told you.
He said that he was.
Yeah.
He did? And then did he make sure that you understood?
Yeah, because he was whispering to you for about 5 minutes. So was he telling you other secrets?
What did you think when he said that he was the voice of Chopper? Were you excited about that?
Yeah.
Why were you excited about that?
Because he was the one whispering in my ear.
That's pretty cool, huh?
And so, Rick, you were right behind them. You didn't hear a thing?
No, not at all. Yeah, you probably have even seen the video that I posted, and I was filming the whole thing as he came over, and he hid both sides. He put his hands over her ear, so I couldn't see his mouth. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't hear anything. And then he leaned back, looked at her, confirmed, made sure she nodded that she understood him, and then walked away.
Wow.
So between then and now, Eliza, how many people have you told this secret to?
0.
0 people.
Not a one?
Not even your parents?
Nope.
Not even us when we barraged you with questions?
We've been asking you this for 3 years. How about any of your friends? Did you ever tell them, hey, you know what? I got to tell someone.
No.
Ever write it in a diary?
No.
A blog?
No.
In the snow?
No.
Okay. Boy, you are good at keeping secrets.
It's true.
Now, 3 years later, the voice of Chopper was finally revealed in the final episode of Rebels. And by the way, this was a talking point, the first talking point in the Q&A held last week at the Disney Burbank Studios.
We finally know who the voice of Chopper is. What made you decide it was time to give that secret away?
The show's over. So it was kind of then or never. I'll have you know that at Celebration, a little tiny child, as usual, asked me,
Eliza!
Who played Chopper?
Eliza Peralta!
I absolutely told her the truth. And she never said anything. I think probably because it was disappointing.
Dave actually remembered you, Eliza.
Yeah.
He mentioned you right away. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Now, since you're one to keep secrets, now I've got some secrets from Richard I'm going to tell you later, but we asked the Skywalkers on Facebook what secret you should be trusted with next.
Wait a minute. What secret? You have a secret?
I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell Eliza.
You see what you started, Eliza? All right, so go on.
All right, so some of our Skywalkers think that you should be told Snoke's true identity. No, that doesn't interest you?
No.
Okay. What about Matt Clifton says that you should be told the mathematical equation that makes up the Force? That sound fun?
No.
No?
Well,
okay.
you like science, you sure?
I know, but that just made no sense at all. I didn't understand a thing.
Okay, so Richard, what do you think should be her secret?
All right, at Star Wars Celebration 2019, when you go back up on stage, I want you to ask Dave Filoni where Ezra is. Okay? You got to ask him that. Ask him where Thrawn ended up, and ask him when we will see the Planet of the Hoojib series. Because they've got to get their own TV series, and I know he's holding back.
Uh-huh.
So, but that one there, if he does tell you, you got to tell me, all right?
No.
Yes?
No.
Yes, that is the only one that you're allowed to reveal, okay? Just to me, and I won't tell anyone else except on the podcast.
No.
All right, agreed?
No.
I think at this point you should tweet at Dave Filoni and ask him to give you another secret to keep. What do you think?
Ask him about the Planet of the Hoojibs TV series, okay? And then tell me. And I won't tell anyone but the Skywalkers. Nope. Okay, she ain't going for it.
Words.
All right, so, okay, here's a good question. Which was harder? Selling 1,000 boxes of Girl Scout cookies or keeping the secret of the voice of Chopper?
Cookies.
That was harder? Even after all the time we pestered you about this? When you came over to watch Rebels and we just barraged you the whole night? With, who's the voice of Chopper? Who's the voice of Chopper? Who's the voice of Chopper? Who's the voice of Chopper?
That's just the funny part.
Yeah, funny for
Real
you.
funny for you, I
Yeah.
was going to say.
Wasn't too funny for us.
Well, and, and I'd just like to point out that I actually have asked her point blank if it was Dave Filoni, and she said no.
Oh.
And that was the end of it. No.
Rick, do you know what this means?
That I can never trust her.
Exactly. Your daughter just lied to you.
Yes, she did.
Well, how ironic is that? Because you can't trust her for being trustworthy.
What kind of Girl Scout are you?
Eliza, someone else had also told you to keep this secret. Who was that?
Kanan.
Kanan, that's right.
So it wasn't just Dave Filoni, but Dave had some backup. And what did Kanan tell you? Did he tell you in person?
Yeah. Like,
He chatted with you there. What did he say to you?
he said to keep the secret or something, something, something.
All you heard was keep the secret, and it's like, you know what? That's good enough for me. I'm out.
No, I just forgot.
All right. All right, well, you know what? We have the full story now.
We do.
The circle is now complete.
After episodes 86 and 89 and 121 or all these episodes that you're on that we asked you, we finally get the story.
Well, thank you very much, Eliza.
I guess you don't have to be on the show anymore now.
Nope. Now, go to bed. It's late. Take your porg and go to bed.
Shout-outs, Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout-out. Who was photobombed? Shout-out. Who was shared a post? Shout-out.
Our first shout-out comes from Din, the lead singer of F105 and a good friend of ours. He reached out regarding our last episode with Mark Marshall and said, really love how you get these guests that have worked on the Star Wars movies that I've never heard before. The uncommon insights are illuminating. That's what we're going for right there. Mm-hmm. The stories you haven't heard before. And, well, if you're excited about that, well, we have some more uncommon guests coming up. Stories you haven't heard before. Which I can't tell you how excited I am to hear stories about the classic Star Wars films. Mm-hmm. After 41 years, you'd think you'd heard everything.
Yeah.
But no, there's more rare stories to come. And this fits perfectly in our new vintage treasury.
Excellent.
Treasury of discussions. That's a good description word, too. Treasury.
Yes. Brian Krieger also reached out to us. Now, what did he have to say, Richard?
Now, Brian says, when's the podcast about tonight's episode, meaning the Rebels finale? When's that coming out? I am so nervous, but you guys do such a good job of breaking it down. Fingers crossed, I don't. And then he added in a tearful emoji. Yeah, well, you know what? Uncross those fingers because tears will be flowing.
Well, luckily we had the Q&A that was recorded immediately after the Star Wars Rebels finale for Brian and for all of you, and we posted that on YouTube. So that contains Amy Ratcliffe was the moderator, and she brought up Dave Filoni, Vanessa Marshall, Tiya Sircar, Taylor Gray, and Steve Blum, and they all talked about what they had just seen for a full hour. And it's funny to watch Amy Ratcliffe because she was like, well, I have no words. Like, she was crying and she had to start this Q&A.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for her.
Yeah. But you know what? She did a bang-up job.
She did.
Yeah, that can't not be not said.
Mm-hmm.
That cannot be not said.
Right.
That proper, but you know where I'm going.
Yes.
She did a fantastic job with the Q&A.
Yes, she did. And once again, that entire Q&A is up on our YouTube channel and is garnering a ton of comments. We have like 130 plus comments so far, so I wanted to bring up one. And Thomas Tohill, he said, please make the Sabine and Ahsoka journey the next series. P.S. Thank you for posting this Q&A. I really needed this.
I am willing to bet the farm or this house in Long Beach that will be the next series. I mean, it's just so ripe for adventures.
Yes, so rich and
not a comic book series.
No.
This is going to be an animated series on Disney, the streaming service that's coming out next year.
Yeah, Ashley Eckstein has a job for life. That would be amazing.
You heard it here first. I'm guessing, I'm sure everyone else said the same thing too.
Yes.
'Cause it's just right there.
There was actually a lot of comments that people want to see that series. Ooh, Christopher Marino says, Adventures in Wild Space, please. That would be fun if they're going to look for those Purgles, as well as Ezra. And Thrawn, who knows?
Oh, Thrawn's still out there.
Yep, Dave Filoni said they're not dead.
Mm-mm.
All right, before we close out our show, I want to bring up some new merchandise that is available. Our button designs are now available on demand, and you don't have to meet us to get these buttons. It's very exciting. Have you not been able to get to a meetup? Did you miss out on a particular button design? Well, we've partnered with Becca's Buttons and Art on Etsy to make all of those designs available to you, even ones from 2014. We have a Neverland on Alderaan button from back then. We have a little Jedi tank flying. All these buttons before, a lot of people knew us. So that's exciting. So head over to skywalkingthroughneverland.com and click on the Support Us tab to easily find that link to Becca's Buttons and Art on Etsy. Well, that wraps up episode 205 of
Skywalking Through Neverland. We'd like to thank Sal Perales, Inside the Magic, and Teresa Delgado for helping us get into that big Rebels finale screening. And of course, we want to thank all you Skywalkers who listen every single week and comment, watch our YouTube streaming shows and videos and everything you do for us. Thank you, and a big, giant thank you to you.
And we are part of Retrozap.com, where you can find articles like Photographic Plastic, and also awesome shows like Brews and Blasters,
Beltway Banthas,
The Deuce Cast Movie Show,
Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels,
Talking Apes TV.
Yeah, which we should have 2 episodes coming out very, very soon.
Wow.
All celebrating the 50th anniversary of Planet of the Apes.
Oh, and speaking of YouTube, you can find on these 50th anniversary panels for Planet of the Apes, you recorded them, and they are on our YouTube channel in a Planet of the Apes playlist. So make sure to look for that if you are interested in Planet of the Apes. Now you can also find Skywalking Through Neverland at jedinews.co.uk and Fantha Tracks. Oh, and also Skywalkers, I have got some Wrinkle in Time articles coming out on adventuresbydaddy.com. We've got the press conference, which is out today. So if you want to look at that, and since Wrinkle in Time is a book that was published 50 years ago, there's no spoilers really, because if you know the story, there's no spoilers. So,
right.
Yeah.
And having seen the movie, there's nothing really there's no twists.
There's no big twist, yeah. And honestly, the comments that they made was more about the making of the film and not the story itself. So it's really fun to watch and or read the article about Wrinkle in Time press conference. And Oprah's in there, you guys. Oprah. All right, Skywalkers, if you want to catch up with us on social media during the week, we are at Skywalking Pod for Twitter, Instagram, and we have our Facebook group where you can get to know other Skywalkers. And you can also email us, share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com. And I want to give a shout out here to Matthew Tapasio, who says, "Great show, Sarah and Richard, as always. May the force be with you both." Oh, thank you, Matt. All right, Skywalkers, we'd love to get your reviews on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher. So please, please, please get those reviews in. They are greatly appreciated.
I'm tired of seeing that one on top that says we're too positive.
Oh, no.
So you know what? Check this out. I'm going to point to a name.
Okay.
And we're going to give that person homework.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
All
scroll.
right.
We're going through our YouTube chat. And the person who has homework this week is
Eric Warren.
Oh, our good friend Eric Warren, who we just met at Disneyland.
Okay.
Hey, guess what, Eric? I know you have 3 kids, but we have some homework for you to do.
So we need you to go to Apple Podcasts and write a review, and we need all 3 of your kids to go to Apple Podcasts and write a review.
All right, we're not going to tell you to leave 5 stars, 1 star, 2. Leave as many stars as you want. We just want another review to knock this other guy down. Okay? All right, you have 1 week to comply.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Now, Skywalkers, stay tuned for bits of conversation that didn't make it into the show right after these credits. And they're kind of fun because they might contain loopy discussions or lots of bloopers when we get words wrong.
Lots.
Or fumble over our mouths.
And lots of bloopers.
That's right. And right after that, go watch the Mary Poppins Returns trailer. Go watch the Christopher Robin trailer. Go watch Star Wars Rebels again.
If you haven't watched our Q&A with Dave Filoni and cast, watch that.
Yep.
We also posted the opening remarks by Dave Filoni.
Oh, yes, right before,
Just go through the whole YouTube playlist and watch everything, okay?
That's right.
And comment.
And always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushwitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said.
And I think I would be more skeptical. I can't say that word.
And if you can get the Weed Whacker guy too, so we can get a few words from him.
I'll ask.
I'm sure he'll have some thoughts.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I've seen Rebels. He's like, nah, but Rebels are cool though. Like, we might not get this chance again, you know? Like, this is us. Like, this is our... Oh, no, that's not good. So, like, that's something that I would... You know, if I was thinking of just costumes I want to do, I would do that just because it's fun. Like, costuming should be fun, or is fun for me. So I do things like that. As far as anything, like, new or recent that I've really, like, looked at in a way like that, but there's a background character in Rogue One that's now showing up in the Afra comics. And in the Afra comics, he's really, really funny.
Oh.
I can't even remember his name, but he's the one that looks like almost like a black and white Guavian death trooper.
Wow.
Like, he has kind of like a mask, and it looks really cool. But in the comics, he's so well spoken, and he's very like overzealous about justice and honor. And it's just, and my wife wants to do Afra as well. So I'm like, well, if we ever finish the Afra pieces we have in the garage, maybe I can turn around and roll around to this dude, and like we can also kind of do that.
All right,
as a
so
pair.
you already do have your eye on the next thing.
Yeah, but I mean, these are next things that we've had our eye on for a while. Like I said, those Afro pieces have been in there for a year and a half. But keeping up with Rebels is kind of a full-time job. So maybe with that, a little bit lessen, and no more Sabine armors to repaint, except for one.
Right.
Right. You know, like there'll be a little bit more room to be like, well, you know, since Lizzie's not getting a new Sabine, what do you want? What do you want now? You know, she wants to do a Kanan from the comics where he starts running with the pirates.
Oh, there you go.
I thought it was really no.
And long live Jason Solo. Jason Zandula.
Yep. Now, let's speak with Kanan cosplayer Sal Perales about the end of Star Wars Rebels and the special
What?
Me.
Who has bigger shoes to fill, Emily Blunt or Alden Ehrenreich? That says Christopher Marino.
Ooh.
I would probably say
Alden Ehrenreich, because Emily Blunt is more well known and has kind of a persona of her own that matches, if anything. Not necessarily matches Julie Andrews, but she's a person in her own right that you feel that she can do it. Whereas Alden is a bit of an unknown. He's a wild card.
Right, it's a good question. I think people are going to be Star Wars fans are more diehard than Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Come on. Have you seen social media in these last few weeks?
Have you seen Disney fans?
Yes, I have. And I've also seen Star Wars fans, and if one hair is out of place, you're never going to hear the end of it. So
I don't know.
I think because Star Wars fans, maybe diehard isn't the right word, but more critical. more critical, and they're going to be extremely critical just because we've had more Star Wars films up until now.
Well, that's true. We've had more Star Wars
and
films
people
portraying Han Solo.
They're prepped for criticism.
Okay.
So I think because of that, they're already in critical mode.
Okay.
So I think Alden's got he's got a hill to climb.
Yes, I agree. Which is why he spoke up when he didn't think his character was being portrayed correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good point. I think the film Han Solo should just be preceded with him saying, "I'm not Harrison Ford. I don't sound like Harrison Ford, but I got the swagger. I just don't sound like him, okay? Get over it. Let's start the film."
Right.
All right, now we need another iTunes review to knock that
Apple Podcasts.
Oh, yeah. All right, Skywalkers, we need another say that part, because.
All right, well, we're gonna say goodbye now, and so is.